Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Weeks after the FBI executed that now infamous search warrant at Donald Trump's home in Florida, seeking classified documents he removed from the White House, the ex-president filed his first legal response in court. And if you recall, it was basically an attempt to stall the FBI investigation. He asked the court to appoint a special master to sort through his baseless claims of executive privilege over the documents the FBI found at Mar-a-Lago. Now, part of what was striking about that move is that Trump and his lawyers went out of their way to bring the matter before a new judge, not the federal magistrate judge that was already handling the case. No, they filed a motion as a new legal action that was assigned to a different federal judge who, as luck would have it, turned out to be someone that Trump, appointed. That's Judge Aileen Cannon. Trump announced his intent to nominate Cannon in April of 2020. She was confirmed by the Senate in the lame duck session that year. That's after Trump lost the election while he was trying to contest it and ultimately overthrow American democracy. Now, federal judges are randomly assigned to cases, but we know that Trump has tried to get before Judge Cannon previously. In fact, earlier this year, when he sued Hillary Clinton and former FBI officials over the Russia investigation, which was subsequently thrown out, he filed the suit in South Florida, where Mar-a-Lago is. But as the Daily Beast reports, when his attorneys formally filed the paperwork, they selected a tiny courthouse in the sprawling federal court district's furthest northeast corner, a satellite location that's 70 miles from Mar-a-Lago. They ignored the West Palm Beach federal courthouse that's a 12-minute drive away. Now, the scheme failed. Trump's case was assigned to a Clinton-era judge who called him out for basically forum shopping in a footnote. Quote, "I note that plaintiff filed this lawsuit in the Fort Pierce division of this district, where only one federal judge sits, Judge Aileen Cannon, who plaintiff appointed in 2020. Of course, we should be clear, there are plenty of judges throughout the federal judiciary who were appointed by Donald Trump who, when faced with cases that he had an interest, have done the right thing, refused to do his bidding, followed the law. That's largely what happened in the aftermath of the election, when several Trump-appointed judges shot down his bogus challenges. But I gotta say, Judge Aileen Cannon has really distinguished herself as a chilling example of what it looks like when the judiciary is just completely in the tank for a politician. On Labor Day, she issued this order granting Donald Trump's request for a special master, an order that was roundly, nearly unanimously criticized by legal experts, including some of Trump's most staunch defenders.
The opinion, I think, was wrong, and I think the government should appeal it. It's deeply flawed in a number of ways. I don't think the appointment of a special master is going to hold up, but even if it does, I don't see it fundamentally changing the trajectory. In other words, I don't think it changes the ball game so much as maybe we'll have a rain delay for a couple of innings.
So Bill Barr's prediction came true just a few days later. Last week, an appeals court did strike down key parts of Judge Cannon's ruling. The three-judge panel, two of whom were appointed by Donald Trump, unanimously ruled she was wrong to prevent federal prosecutors from using the classified documents in their investigation while the special master reviewed them. They said the ex-president, quote, has not even attempted to show he has a need to know the information contained in the classified documents. And then there's the special master himself, who Trump's lawyers suggested and that Judge Cannon chose. He has not been quite what I think the Trump folks were likely hoping for. Judge Raymond Dearie, a long-serving federal judge with a very, very good reputation, has taken a no-nonsense approach to the case. In a filing last week, he essentially called Trump's bluff, just as he did after the election. The ex-president has been running around making outlandish claims in public, this time alleging the FBI planted evidence during their search at Mar-a-Lago.
The problem that you have is they go into rooms, they won't let anybody near them. They wouldn't even let them in the same building. Did they drop anything into those piles? Or did they do it later? There's no chain of custody here with them.
Just asking questions. Did they plant evidence? Now, evidence being planted has happened, we should be clear, by law enforcement officials all over the place, okay? But if you're going to make that accusation, you need to present evidence. So Judge Dearie ordered Trump and his lawyers to state whether they believe anything on the official inventory list of items the FBI seized is wrong, basically challenging Trump to show him where the planted evidence is in a court filing, which would be subject to sanctions if they were lying. Yesterday, guess what? Judge Aileen Cannon jumped back in to protect Trump and his lawyers from the embarrassing proposition of having to state the plain truth, that no, of course, nothing was planted. Judge Cannon also blocked the swift timetable Judge Dearie had set to resolve the review of the documents, slowing the matter down. With each action she takes, it is harder and harder to conclude anything other than that Judge Cannon is fully biased in favor of the man that got her her job, Donald Trump. It's an important reminder that in the end, the judiciary, and more grandly, the law, is ultimately just what a bunch of judges say it is, particularly what 5 justices on the Supreme Court say it is. And this week, we were once again reminded of the fact that those justices are just human beings, like all of us, with a complex set of beliefs and influences. As we've talked about before, one of those Supreme Court justices happens to be married to a person who believes wild, dangerously false things. I speak, of course, of Ginny Thomas, wife of Clarence Thomas, who believes the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump. A false belief. She actually works to further Donald Trump's attempted coup. And yesterday, she testified about her actions before the January 6th committee. She answered the committee's questions for 4 hours and told them she still believes those false claims about the election, which does not make me feel great about Ginny Thomas's general level of processing of the world. Now, I want to be super clear here, okay? People are not responsible for their spouse's opinions. Lord knows I don't want Kate held responsible for like 98% of my own hot takes. But in the case of Ginny Thomas, who her spouse is undeniably relevant. One of the things the committee has wanted to ask her about is her email conversations with, for instance, John Eastman. That is the infamous author of the so-called coup memo, the legal mind who is plotting the coup. Ginny Thomas knows John Eastman, likely had his email address because he's a former clerk for her husband, Clarence Thomas. Committee likely also asked Ginny Thomas about her text messages to Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, in which she shared conspiracy theories and implored him to help Trump overturn the election. Now, any other random conservative activist in Northern Virginia likely would not have the personal phone number of the president's chief of staff. Ginny Thomas did. Because she's conservative royalty. Because, to a certain extent, of who her husband is. And just think about what it would look like if someone like John Eastman or Ginny Thomas were on the judiciary. Remember, the rule of law is not some abstraction. It's not the force of gravity. It is a human institution occupied by humans. So far, by and large, it has held, even as Donald Trump has tested it. There's no guarantee of that. And right now, Judge Aileen Cannon is demonstrating what it looks like when the rule of law doesn't hold.